All right, good afternoon. The pardon board is reconvening. We're now at the State Police Barracks. It's 12:46 p.m. on Monday, August 25th, 2025. Good morning. Captain, would you introduce yourself and if any staff that may be with you?
Good morning, everyone. Captain Patrick Washington, State Police Barracks. Just me.
You, huh? All right. And we have Mr. Williams. Good afternoon, sir.
How you doing, ma'am?
Good. Would you introduce yourself? Tell us your name and your DOC number, please.
Yes, ma'am. My name is Rashawn Williams, DOC number 422041.
And we have some folks here in support and also in opposition. I'm going to just read their names into the record. We have the Pearl Project, Mr. Channing Blake on Zoom. Also on Zoom, Christopher Sutton, Gary Endenberg, and Tyrone Glover. Here with us in Baton Rouge, we have your son, Rashawn Jr., Keith Morse, Ethel Kraft, Megan Kraft, and Don Capola. Here with us also in Baton Rouge, we have opposition, and that is Damon Moss and Deborah Morris. And so we'll call on those who have indicated they wish to speak at the appropriate time. First, let me just read some identifying information into the record, Mr. Williams, and ask you to verify it. So you're here today seeking a commutation of your sentence. You were sentenced in Washington Parish, that's the 22nd Judicial District, in January of 2000 for a second-degree murder conviction. You received a life sentence. Is that information correct?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
All right, thank you. We'd like to get your statement first before we hear from the captain. Tell us why are you in jail? What did you do? And why you believe we should vote favorably for you today.
Yes, ma'am. With all due respect, I want to first and foremost acknowledge the family and friends of Keith Morris. I had no right to end Keith Morris's life. That I had no right to do. Keith Morris didn't deserve this, nor did his family and friends deserve to go through this pain and trauma that I placed them through. To the parish of Washington, I endangered their community as a whole. I stole peace from that community. I robbed them of their serenity. And for that, I'm truly sorry, and I have the deepest regrets that I can have. Also, I want to extend my apologies to everybody who was at that particular nightclub that night that I committed this crime. I put so many people's lives in danger with my actions, and that I'm aware of, and that I totally understand that I was wrong. I want to thank this honorable panel for allowing me to be heard and giving me an opportunity at redemption. That I'm thankful of. To my family, who I also placed in harm's way, and we've also placed them in pain and trauma as well. We'll be going through this situation that I placed myself in. I'm sorry to y'all as well for having to go through this with me, having to stand hand in hand with me through this process. What I came to prison for, because on July 11, 1998, I was the worst version of myself that I could ever be. I was armed with a 9mm handgun that night. And I might have been at the Silver Slipper Lounge in Angie, Louisiana, maybe an hour or so before I committed this crime. Upon me seeing Keith Morris and some of his friends arrive at the club, that's when I became enraged in my own mind behind a prior incident that I was still had animosity about. And honestly, as I reflect back in hindsight 2020, Keith Morris didn't have nothing to do with what I was angry about. He was only friends with the individual who I was mad at this particular time. And I was totally wrong. I had no right to even plot to take Keith Morris's life. But upon seeing Keith Morris and his friends arrive at the club, I then sprung into action, and I went outside and I disguised myself in a hooded jacket, and I tied a bandana around my face, trying to conceal my identity in a vain attempt to try to undermine any potential witnesses. And I'm saying that today because I don't want this board to think that I'm trying to undermine y'all in no way, shape, form, or fashion. But this is what I did. And upon Keith Morris exiting the bar, I waited for him to exit the bar. Upon him exiting the bar, I walked up to Keith Morris and I shot him several times and I ended his life. And I was wrong. I'm totally wrong. And I know there are consequences behind my actions. Over the course of these 27 years I've been incarcerated, I came to the realization that I know that the world doesn't revolve around me, my pride, nor my ego. I had a spiritual awakening of sorts. And like I said, when I got to prison, it wasn't an easy process for me adjusting because I am from another state. But in the process of me adjusting over the years, I had a spiritual awakening. I came to the realization that I can't keep living life the same way. Because to live life the same way that I was living it, I was out of control. I understand I had anger issues. I come from a dysfunctional background. I also engaged in gang activity on the streets of Los Angeles. So I embraced false ideologies. I embraced everything that was erroneous. That was stuff that I embraced. So I came to the realization that I can't keep living life the same way. And I started to do a lot of internal, outlooks on myself. And I realized that, anger was one of my primary issues. And I get that. And I know I was educated by ignorance. I allowed ignorance to educate me. So I knew that I had to do something better with myself in order to change the way that I think, change the way that I talk, change the way that I react to the situation. So I started involving myself in self-help classes, such as anger management, such as 100 hours, compassion cultivation, thinking for a change, to poo-coo, inside out dad. I even had tear walking training, moral compass. I also got my high set, GED. I challenged myself. I started setting goals for myself. I got my high set. I achieved that. I went on to welding school. I achieved my welding trade. I even came back and went to plumbing school. Even though I had to go through some ups and downs to get back to get another trade, I was eventually allowed to receive another trade. I also completed IC3 digital literacy. That was 1, 2, and 3. And I received a master's certification in that. And I was informed that that's also considered a trade as well. I know I'm not deserving of anything. I know what I did was wrong, and I disrespected Keaton's family and friends by robbing them of his presence. So for me to say I should get something, I cannot do. I will not step here and do that because I know I committed a cardinal sin by committing this crime. I also involved myself with the Louisiana Citizens Roundtable under the guidance of Congressman Clay Higgins and Honorable Tyrone Glover. And I also, when I came to the police barracks, I was also aligned with Crimestoppers, with Beyond Bars, Choices and Consequences, where I speak to youth. I started speaking to youth for that goal. I grew a passion for that because I don't want to see the youth make the same mistakes that I made. So I go to schools and I speak to youth. That's one of the things I enjoy doing. That's one of my forward progress actions that I've taken, as far as to keep getting better each and every day. So with that being said, ma'am, I don't deserve anything, but I'm hopeful that this honorable panel will see fit to grant me a recommendation. Thank you.
Hey, Captain, what can you tell us about Mr. Williams?
Good morning, and thank you all for having us. When Rashawn came here, he came here with a purpose. One of the reasons we brought him was for his history with speaking to at-risk youth. Since he's been here, We had one gentleman doing it before. Now it's him and Rashawn doing it together, and the impact that it's making is tremendous. As far as his work ethic, we have no problems with him. He goes to work with a smile on his face every day, and every time you see him, he's got that same smile. We are very pleased with the efforts that he and the other offenders here are making in that program with Crimestoppers and Baton Rouge City Police. And it's one of the things that I can say is probably one of his strongest passions. So I thank y'all.
All right, and thank you. I want you to know, Rashawn, we just had a new name to add to our list. Ron Hicks is here also with us in Baton Rouge.
Okay.
Support. So we're going to hear now from the folks who want to speak on your behalf. First, the parole project, Mr. Blake.
Good afternoon to this honorable board. Channing Blake with Louisiana Parole Project on behalf of Mr. Rayshawn Williams. As previously stated, he has a ton of programming and community service that he does. He's obtained his high set. He's also participated in Moral Compass, Malachi Dads, and he speaks to at-risk youth. And because of these factors and many others, we've accepted him into our program. Should the board give him a favorable recommendation, we're going to provide him transitional housing and employment assistance. Based upon his record, his rehabilitation, and his strong support system, we ask that you all would grant him a favorable recommendation today. Thank you.
Thank you. And we have here Rashawn Williams Jr. We'd like to hear from you. Step up to the podium. Yeah, go ahead.
I want to say just first, thank you for taking my father's president granted. Also want to say sorry to the family. With that being said, I believe that my father had done the work to be pretty good at it. Not only with his work with Crimestoppers and work he's doing in the community with the average youth, but the work he has done in Angola, the credentials he got through this stuff as well. My father was not only doing work, but he's teaching the work. And through my time growing up, phone call, letters, visitation coming from the West Coast here, the main message my father has taught me is the mom is a terrible thing to waste. I'm trying to be better and always reach back to my community. And through that, after college, I went right into education work with average youth, youth Black engagement. And then I recently started an organization called Ship Peer Youth Mentoring. We have an after school youth program, or youth center. It's a safe space in Washington State where youth, 5th grade to 12th grade, can engage and get some support, peer support as well. We provide a lot of opportunities for youth, internships as well. All of that was inspired to work with my father. And just the message he kept providing me as a youth. So, with that being said, as you make a decision today, you think about the importance and the impact he can have in this community, and when you're doing for this next generation.
Do you travel from Washington State?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. And then Mr. Coppola, we hear from you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me. Thank everybody for being here. I am with Capital Region Crimestoppers. I am the coordinator, and we also have our executive director, Johnny Young, here as well. So the latter part of last year, we started a program called Beyond Bars, Choices and Consequences, where we go into the schools, we go into community groups, help those troubled kids, because we see that the offenders and victims of crimes are getting younger and younger. So before Rashawn had joined us, it was another state inmate of State Police Barracks, and Rashawn was brought to us. He was recommended to us, which he joined, and I can tell you that what a difference this makes between Rashawn and Desmond working together, telling their stories to these kids, telling them the mistakes that they made for them not to make the same mistakes. We take it a step further where if there's a child or someone that needs a little extra talking to, we sidebar with them. I'll give that individual my number. We'll stay in touch. They'll reach out. Hey, I need to talk to Rashawn. I need to talk to Dad. So being that we're at the state police headquarters, we'll get a conference call with them, or we'll just call and check on them. They'll come in after a weekend, hey, let's reach out to so-and-so and see how they're doing and let them know that we care. And the voices that we have, we want that to continue to go on and on. Recently, WFB did a segment, we were at Extrema High talking to the football team with the mayor. And if you saw that, that is them. They speak truly from their heart to change and make a difference in this world, for people to learn from their mistakes. So they don't live, the kids don't live the life that they are living behind bars. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. All right. Now we'll hear from the family of the victim. I'll let you folks decide who would like to speak first. Either Ms. Moss or Mr. Moore, Mr. Moss and Ms. Morris, excuse me. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning,
Hello. Yes, ma'am.
my name's Deborah Morris. I'm Keithan and Terrence Morris's mother. First thing I would like to say is I sincerely hope that Rashawn Williams has made a change. His speech seems to me to be rehearsed. And I really find it ironic that he didn't mention my other son's name. And that was Terrence Morris. Mr. Williams shot both of my sons, the only two kids that I gave, in the back 4 times. I didn't know whether to wait the undertaker to come and get my baby, or to get in the ambulance to leave with my oldest son to go to another hospital. Mr. Williams showed no remorse, no respect during the trial. He cussed me, called me the B word, said to me, you MFs must be crazy if you think I'm going to jail. The act that he committed changed my life. I have not had a full night's sleep since this happened. He never mentioned Terrence's name. Terrence could not even attend his brother's funeral because he was on the respirator. He didn't even know his brother was dead. Mr. Williams even talked crazy to the district attorney during the trial. He admitted to being in a gang since he was 9 years old. And I was always told that once you were in a gang, you was in it for life. But if he's one that has made it out, I'm glad. I don't think he's ready to come out based on the actions of taking a gun and shooting two young men that I was told by the district attorney as well as the investigator that they didn't do anything to cause that action. Mr. Williams can tell me that my boys did something to him to cause this. I would like to know today. What did they do to you to make you want to take their life? You totally disrespected me during the trial. I talked to your cousin, Gina. I had taken care of the other cousin, Trevon, in the hospital. I even tried to take him when I didn't have him. When the split came for our assignment, simply because I knew Gina. And my job as a nurse was to treat each patient that I took care of the same. And I did that. But I also went out of my way to help Trevon. Even if I stayed late to help him. I'm never gonna, he's gone. Can't do nothing about that. But you have somewhat also destroyed Terrence's life. There's the guilt of being the oldest brother that drove the car to the destination that you all were at that night. For him to have to come out of the hospital after 3 surgeries, see his brother's funeral on a video. Try to tell him that it's not his fault. Because had they known that that was going to happen that night, I'm sure they would have gone. But this was supposed to be a private function. But my nephew's classmate in college, who is now an attorney, my boys were not gun-toting kids. They were not gang members, they were not gangsters. But they were young men. It is not my ideal to see you in prison the rest of your life. But I don't want you to come out and do to another parent that you have done to me. I raised those boys by myself. Their father died when they were small boys. You robbed me of something that you could not never give back. You were what I would call a cold-hearted criminal.
Ms. Morris, can you wrap up your statement for us,
Yes.
ma'am? Thank you.
I sincerely hope that you have changed. It's in their hand.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for being here. Mr. Moss?
I speak on behalf of my cousin parents. Parents, we've been dealing with this for 27 years. And I just want to ask the family, not Mr. Williams. But first of all, to Mr. Williams, my family is a forgiving family. We believe in the Lord Jesus Christ as our Savior. But my question is to the family, to his family, why no one ever reached out to my 18 to ask for forgiveness on
Well,
behalf of Mr. Williams?
Mr. Moss, you need to speak to us and not to,
Okay.
to his family.
No one on behalf of Mr. Williams ever reached out to my aunt for forgiveness. We don't hold a grudge. It hurts. Have to go to the cemetery. She stays up most of the night. But my cousin Terrence, he has a half a liver. And every so often he breaks down crying and he'll watch a video, and he posts stuff on Facebook, how he misses his brother, why did he have to go through this, it just bothers him. And for my aunt to go through this, I don't think it's fair. But for Mr. Williams, I do believe that maybe the Lord have changed his life. I don't know. But my aunt told me to be nice about this, so I'm trying to be as respectful as I can. But in my heart, I don't think he needs to be released. That's just the way I feel. I have a cousin that he struggles. I have a cousin that struggles daily. He hide. He go to my aunt's house, he go and keep in the room. I come out of the room, but in life, stuff that my aunt don't see, stuff that we see, it hurts. Pain hurts. I just think Mr. Williams needs to see it. I think he needs to serve life. That's what they gave him. That's what he need to do. And that's it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Williams, your case was assigned to Mr. Freeman. Would you answer his question?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Williams, good evening.
Great.
First off, what was the dispute over? And what started all of this?
Well, Mr. Freeman, it was about a month prior to that. I was shot at by an individual that Mr. Keith Morris hung out with, a guy by the name of Ty Dillon. It was over a misunderstanding. And that's what led up to me shooting Mr. Keith Morris that night.
Okay. And this Mr. Dillon, was he with them? The night
Yes,
he
sir.
shot him?
Yeah, they was together. But looking back, hindsight 2020, I was wrong. Keith Morris me and him didn't have no direct contact. He was just hanging out with the individual that shot at me. He didn't do nothing wrong. As you heard, yes, I was absolutely wrong. I take full responsibility. He didn't deserve to lose his life. I had no right to do that. I had no right to take Keith Morris's life in no way, shape, form, or fashion. But being under false ideologies, living in darkness at that time, I was living life from a distorted viewpoint. And I took this young man's life practically over just who he hung out with. And I was totally wrong.
And how long have you been in the state police barracks?
I've been in state police barracks almost 7 months now.
Yeah, I see you had a contraband write up in 2020. What was that for?
Yes, sir. That was for a cell phone.
How many other people were wounded that night? Was Mr. Dillon hit?
No, sir. Mr. Dillon wasn't there that night.
That's what I'd asked.
Like Keaton Morris's mother said, his brother Terrence Morris was shot. A young lady by the name of Tori Levi and my cousin Trevon Stokes had been grazed as well.
Okay. Were you part of a gang when you was in California?
Yes, sir, I was. Unfortunately, being a misguided youth, I was impressionable in many ways. I joined a gang. I know this is not any justification for that, but I did have a mother who was on drugs, who was a prostitute, and I was full of anger. I was embarrassed, and I became rebellious. And I eventually was indoctrinated into that way of life, into that thought process of gangbanging, because it was all around me. And I was full of negative energy, sir. And I'm just being quite honest with you. Yes, I was involved in a gang at one point.
Yeah, because I see you had a pretty good juvenile record. So it was just kind of common
Yes,
that y'all carried guns back then?
Yes, sir. Coming up on the streets of South Central Los Angeles, it was dangerous. And once you become involved with gang activity, that's like a must-have. Is what they really sell you on. And you walk into this thought process of needing a weapon for protection, because rival gangs were always looking to try to kill you or do something harmful to you. So yes, carrying a weapon was part of the uniform.
Gotcha. Okay. I have no further questions. Mr.
I got a question.
Mr. Tillis?
How you doing, Mr. Williams?
How you doing, Mr. Tillis?
Good. Miss Morse stated that you disrespected her during the trial. Do you remember that?
Mr. Tillis, with all due respect, I know I may have looked a certain way. I don't remember disrespecting Mrs. Morris. I disrespected Mrs. Morris by taking her son's life first and foremost. So that was automatic disrespect by what I did. But as far as me disrespecting her in trial, I don't remember that. But I understand where she's coming from. I understand how she feels, because I had no right to take her son's life. So with all due respect, I disrespected her by taking her son's life first and foremost. So, anything that's, any way that she feels, I totally embraced it because I was wrong.
But you don't remember verbally disrespecting her?
No, sir, I have no recollection of that. Verbally disrespect her in trial, anything of that magnitude. But, I understand what I did was wrong, and I understand how she feels.
Okay, I have no more questions.
I wanted to ask you, I was looking at the list here, and tell me if I'm correct, that they had 14 shell casings that when you shot into the crowd.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Yeah. So you indiscriminately 14 times shot into a crowd of people. Out of that, of course, you killed Keith Morris. Trayvon, your cousin, he got shot in the shoulder because he was taken to the hospital. Tori Levi, she was shot in the leg. And then Terrence Morris was also shot in the back.
Yes, ma'am.
One of the things that I always ask, because most of the times you'll read something like this and it'll say, was injured, if you get that. But injuries, I found, sometimes, it might be a shattered bone in the shoulder or a shattered bone in the leg. And so, and like we hear today, that Terrence is still suffering from being shot that night and everything. So we're talking about how these injuries can be lifelong and altering too, whether or not it's a murder. We hear about the murder, most times, man, you got charged with 4 counts of attempted murder, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So did you shoot one other person and I missed them? Let's see, Trayvon, Levi, and Terrence. Was there another person that got shot?
Not that I know of,
Then,
but
because you got,
I know I think a guy by the name of Elvin Pike, and I think he said his shoe got hit or something. His shoe, but I
okay,
don't think
you
he
got
was
that
hit.
charge of attempted murder 4
Yeah.
times. And Mr. Tillis, I mean, not Mr. Tillis, Mr. Freeman covered what I was going to ask about the gang activity and everything. And another thing that I wanted to say, you're doing an excellent job where you're at. And you're reaching a lot of young people where you're at through Crimestoppers. And so maybe right now you have found your calling and passion and you've turned what was a deadly incident into something that can help people where you're at. Because you had deliberate disregard for life that night, shooting into that crowd indiscriminately. That's all that I have to say about this.
Any other questions? All right, I don't see any other questions. Mr. Freeman will take your vote.
Okay, Mr. Williams, I'm gonna tell you, where you're at today, I don't think you're a big public risk. But the bottom line is, you gotta do the time for what you did. I mean, like they said, one person was killed, one person was injured real badly. And you shot into a crowd. So, you know, like I say, I think you're doing great, like Ms. Stapleton said, and I think you will gain your release. I absolutely feel that way if you continue on this same path, but I think you need to do a little bit more time, 27 years. All of that just isn't enough in my mind. So my vote today is to deny.
Mr. Tillis?
I think also you're doing a great job in helping these young kids. I know the captain and them there are doing a good job also with you. What really got me today was I just don't believe Miss Morris would lie about somebody disrespecting her. That's something that she has gone through. So my vote's going to be to deny.
Mrs. Stapleton?
My vote today is going to be to deny. You do need to serve more time for taking a human life, but also caused a lot of injury to 4 people. You had deliberate disregard, shooting 4 bullets into a crowd. I mean, that could have been however many dead bodies that you weren't worried about that night. And you do have law enforcement opposition and you got victim opposition.
Mr. Prater?
I concur. Victim opposition, law enforcement opposition, and the fact that you shoot into a crowd 14 times, hit 5 people, one of them dies. I think that's, as we all have agreed, including you, that that's a terrible crime. I want to tell you how well, I know y'all don't get paid to be proud of you, but I'm proud of how you made the corner, turn the page, and that you're doing better. And I think there's a future for you down the road, but it's just not today.
All right, so Mr. Williams, you didn't get the vote you were looking for today. You've got 4 votes to deny, but all who are encouraging. So, you know, keep doing what you're doing and reapply when you can. Good luck to you, sir.
Right. Appreciate you for the opportunity.
Counts at 4:30. Counts at 4.